Right, welcome to another video. This time slightly different because I'm not using my little demonstration building. I'm going to actually show you on, this is the base for the tram, and today I want to show you what I use to grout up the paving blocks, and also I'm just going to show you what I'm using to actually trim this up and get it for the finished stage. But to start off with, I'm going to move this back section because this is an accident waiting to happen. Alright, to start off with, we look at, well, this bit's going to be about trimming up. I think it's important on your base that you really think about how you're going to present it, and me personally, I don't like to see anything too fancy. I'll move that into shot a bit more. I don't like to see anything too fancy because it detracts the eye from your diorama. You spent a long time building it, a long time doing it, so your actual base and how it's set off should be very simple, very basic, so the eye doesn't go to real fancy moulding around the outside. The eye keeps within the area that you like. Now I like to use this stuff. Now this is glazing bar. This is the stuff you have round the back door holding the glass in. Very inexpensive. I think this is about £3–4 for 2.4 metres. 2.4, yeah, 2.4 metres. Very, very good and very, very easy to use. What I should be doing is I'm going to be running a trim all the way around the outside. Now these bits have been cut, not, well, roughly to length, but there's been no 45s put on them for the simple reason is I haven't a very big workshop here, so and to manoeuvre long lengths of wood around, it just doesn't work. Now that will be something, how it's going to go. But the decision is, at the moment, I'm sort of wondering if to actually lift this up slightly. If I bring in a couple of pieces, this is just 6mm MDF. And if we just raise that, push that block straight through. Literally what I would do, I would cut some blocks and stick underneath to actually raise it if I'm going to raise it, which I'm not certain, and just debate about which way to go and which way is going to look best. And I'm already sold on that idea. You can still see the edge of the blocks, which is nice, which keeps your diorama into a nice frame. And like I say, it won't pull your eye to it because it's not fancy, it's not all ridged and everything else. But there again, the choice is yours. That is my choice. That's the way I look at it. I think to myself, no, I like to stick to something nice, simple and plain. So that's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to actually now, I've decided, is I'm going to cut some blocks, about 6 altogether, and I shall have one on each of the corners. We'll turn that over for a second. So I shall cut one for this corner, one block for this corner, and 2 squares for the middle, just to support it. Now I shall go off and do that, stick them on, and then I'll come back to you again. Okay, I've cut my 6 blocks, coasters. Well, yeah, they're coaster size. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to glue onto the 4 corners, like so, and also some in the middle, just to give that pretty good support. It's just PVA glue, nothing too special. I'll put it on there. plenty of glue. And into the corner. Get yourself a little clamp. Just to hold it in place. It's deciding to move. So that's what I'll be doing all the way around, but not quite as messy as that. Just making sure them edges are lined up. Right, that's what I'll be doing all the way around. I shall do that and then I'll come back to you. Okay, all of the 6 pads are on, they're dry, and turn it over. The one thing I have done is that I've taken a piece of timber and just gone all the way around the edge, just to make sure there's no bits sticking out. If there has been, just taking it off with a piece of sandpaper. Right, next job is just to offer everything up and cut some miters. So that will be my next job. I'm going to be using good old-fashioned miter block and the little panel saw. That's it, that's all I'll be using. So I'm going to mark these up and then I'll come back to you again. Right, as you can see, I've cut all my miters. It will sit in there quite nicely. Well, to tell a lie, there's a little tiny bit of a bow along this front edge, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult, but that will push in. There's not much of a bow, but there's enough room there to get that pushed back. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get this all glued up, and then we can move on. And we can give it a bit of colour and get on with the grouting up. Okay, we've glued all the edges on, and to be honest with you, it's come out alright. Only had one small issue along this edge here, a little bit of a gap, but it's nothing that can't be resolved a bit later. Now I'm happy with that, so all I'm going to do with this now is give it a coat of black paint, and then when I've finished the whole of the diorama and everything's done, I'll tape it up, probably give it another coat of black, and then probably 5-6 coats of a clear polyurethane, try saying that with these teeth, polyurethane varnish, just to try and get that sort of like deep luster shine to it. But that's all the trimming finished. Now the main event is we'll get this grouted up. I've just got a few bricks and that to be put in along this edge. I think, yeah, I've got a couple there as well. So I'm going to get them glued in and sorted out, and then I'll be back and we'll get on and I'll show you what you need to grout this up with. Right, we're back in the comfort of my other shed. This one's nice and warm. Right, I've trimmed up these bits on the side here. I've given this just a coat of, well, it's just like a wash, just to give it a little protection while I'm doing the weathering and that, but that will be finished later. Now I'm going to grout these blocks up. Now what I use is this is just ordinary topsoil from my garden. What I do is I go and get a couple of trowelfuls into a bucket, break it down as much as I can, get rid of all the big lumps, then lay it out on some newspaper and leave it there for a couple of days just to dry out. Then I've got this little sieve. It is a magnificent little sieve. I think it's a flour sieve. Now when it's almost dry, I sieve it through onto a baking sheet with some bako foil on. I sieve it onto that, and then when the good lady's not looking, I put that sheet of that baking sheet into the oven at about 200 and bake it for, I don't know, half an hour, just to get rid of any moisture that's in there. Also, it will kill off any seeds or anything like that that you might pick up. I don't want little plants growing in the middle of your diorama. And that's it. That's what I use. And to grout this up is no different to grouting up the brickwork. Actually, it's easier. You sprinkle it all over and just keep rubbing it in. If you would like, you can use a brush. But I prefer to use my fingers, especially on a surface like this, because you can push it down and push it into where you want it. Squeeze the big arms in the way. So there's no real big mystery on it. Put plenty on. Sorry if I speak into the mic a bit loud there, because it's very close to my head. Take me back to my childhood, mud pies and things like that. And then we just start to brush it off, just trying to make sure that you don't brush too much off. You want to brush the excess off. And if there's any areas that you've missed, fill them in. What I normally do is just sort of like get the excess off, because I always end up putting on too much. It's better to have too much than not enough. Hope I'm not boring you people out there. But, now I had a couple of questions when I did the brickwork, because I use AK pigment fix, and people asked me if there was anything else that you could actually use. Now, to be honest with you, I never really tried anything. I did a few little experiments with different bits and pieces, but as that was doing the job, I never bothered. So what we're going to do this time, we're going to try just something, excuse the big arm, just something a little bit different. I'm going to use some Vallejo matte varnish, because that is quite cheap. You can get 60 mils of matte varnish for, I think it's a couple of quid. And I'm going to do a 50-50 mix with thinners. The reason I'm using thinners and not water, because thinners will evaporate quicker than water, so that's the reason why I'm using thinners. Get something now just to go along there, because that's the inside of the tram line and that's where the wheel should sit. Let's see if we can get that out there without too much hassle. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter if you leave some of this over the surface, because if you ever look in gutters and that, it's full of dirt and that down the side, so it's not really going to hurt. So, and also it just adds to that little bit of realism. I don't know if you can see all that, but it's all been done. Right, I have my little concoction here, so we'll see how it goes with this, and we just dab it on as you would do with your brickwork. I know this is white, but it does dry clear. So this is an experiment as well on my diorama base. I normally do things like this on a little section, but hey ho, if you don't experiment, you don't get to know. I'll move the camera over a little bit. Right. Have we got that in shot? Yeah. So all I'm doing, I'm just using the Vallejo. It's matte varnish. It's done with, I've just thinned it down with some ultimate thinners. I've done a 50-50 mix, and to be honest with you, it seems to be working alright. So this could be another cheap way out, instead of using the AK pigment fix, because the pigment fix is expensive and it's really designed just to be used on like vehicles to hold the pigment when you put it on the bottoms and things like that. So I'm going to switch you off and I'm going to carry on with that, then I'll come back to you again. Okay, a little bit of unexpected turn up. Now this is all dry, and as you can see we've got a sort of like whitish areas over it. The varnish and the thinners have had a reaction somewhere along the line. Now it's not a bad thing, because to be quite honest with you, I really do like this effect. And if I take you down a bit closer, because it sort of blurs out from that distance with the camera. If I take you down a little bit closer and let the camera focus, come on camera, there we go. If you see what it's done, it's left white deposits in different areas, like here, 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 here. Also the varnish, the matte varnish, has actually highlighted a lot of the blocks, which is really good. It really looks good. I'm really pleased with that. I'll just take you across it. In some areas it's really gone white, other areas it hasn't, so it's totally random, and to me it's totally natural, and I'm quite happy with that, and I'm not going to change that at all. To be honest with you, if I got the pigment fix, I did try a little bit down the corner here, and you dab the pigment fix on it, it takes the white out, but I'm leaving the white in. I need that in. And a little bit of a comparison, that's the varnish. That is done with the pigment fix. As you can see, nice, clean, no white. So a little experiment. It's turned out well. I'm more than happy with that. I shall use some washes and bits and pieces on that, and that will come up absolutely brilliant. I'm looking forward to doing that actually. So I'm babbling on, I'm going off the subject, because what we were here for was I was showing you how to grout up and how to do this base. So that's basically it for that. We've gone through, you know, showing you how to grout up, what soil to use. I mean, to be honest with you, you could use any type of soil, anything that you want, as long as it's dry and it will go into the cracks. I wouldn't use any type of pigment or anything like that, because the pigment would actually stain your blocks and that. So you know, if you use the dark pigment, it would make everything dark. I do know that because I've tried it. So any sand, I mean, you could even use, if you get hold of some of that egg timer sand, that's really fine sand. But topsoil is cheap, you can get it from your garden or whip a bit from down the park, and it does the job. It does the job brilliantly. As you can see, that's the earth and that's the earth as well. And the nice thing about it, using varnish, you get a different effect. Use a pigment fix, you get another effect, just by changing your fixes. So yeah, so that is it. I'm going on too much here, and this video will be really long. So that is it. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be keeping you up to date when I do the weathering on this, so you can see how it turns out, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.